Good afternoon. This is the debate from Mizu Magno, and today our group are going to be discussing the issue of governments should not regulate business affairs and the stock market. On my left-hand side, we have the affirmative group, and on my right-hand side, we have the negative group. So without further ado, we will go over to the speaker one from the affirmative group.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Our group thinks that nowadays business relations and affairs are being interfered with security laws and exchange commissions, and that is making economic growth more difficult. As a result, the true meaning of a free market is being compromised. So we believe that the government should not regulate business affairs and the stock market in order to preserve the market laws and also make our economy grow in a faster and fair way. Our first argument for defending that is that government makes the economy something political that serves its own wants. So we could learn with the 1970s crisis that when the money is based on something real, such as good gold or valuable items that are in the country storage, its value is much more fixed and its oscillation are proportional to something real or not to people's wishes. So like the government can influence that. We also saw that there is no point in regulating business affairs as the free market is self-regulated. We can see that clearly at the market's invisible hand created by Adam Smith, where he says that basically that the market is self-regulating, that invisible hand controls everything. And finally, we can see that the regulation of the free market costs too much for consumers. So besides the changes in price that mess with the capitalism natural laws, we can't forget that the government regulations on the stock market and in business affairs pass on additional costs to the final consumers and therefore inhibit the growth. So or the consumers must pay for these regulations that it's only bringing down our economy.
Okay, that was fine. So the team over here, the negative team, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would like to make some questions.
Okay.
So, you said at the start that the regulations makes the economy growth difficult, but you haven't explained why it makes it difficult. And also that the free market is self-regulated, but the free market means that there's no regulation by the government. But if there's no regulation in the government, that means that there can exist monopolies. You haven't explained how the self-regulation doesn't stop more monopolies.
Would you like to answer that quickly now, or would you like to leave that until your rebuttals?
I'll leave it to rebuttals because we haven't argued for.
Okay, so we'll stop there. Okay, so next we will go for the presentation of the negative team. Speaker one, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, capitalist economies follows the ideal of a mercantilism and materialism. This motivates big companies to always try to get monopoly of their own market. The government applies the regulations to maintain the economy under control and to maintain the stability of the market. And these two things really helps the development of the economy and helps to create an integrated market with his economy. The terms that I want to define are stock market. The stock market refers to the collection of markets and exchange where regular activities of buying, selling, and issuance of shares of publicly held companies take place. Monopoly. When a single organization or company has total control of a specific market, being a possession of most of or all of the shares of all companies in that are involved in that market. So, firstly, vicious relationships between companies are diminished by the actions and regulations of the government over business affairs, thus making the free market a more safe and legal market for the economy. Almost 25% of the national economy development is composed by illegal activities. The government gets involved in this business affair means that these activists will have less chance of being succeeding. So, second, in a stock market with regulation, the creation of monopolies will be something possible. The Sherman-Hammer is a law that allowed a big removal of companies that were withholding a big portion of disponible shares, thus not possibilitating the formation of monopolies in other markets. Monopolies make it difficult to small investors to take part in the vast process, consequently lead to a less constant development of the economy. So, thirdly, the government regulation helps to control the government corruption. As I have already said, with the participation of small investors in the stock market, possibilitate a continual and a constant flow of investments. Consequently, it grew in a large proportions. By that, the stock market and its majority of private companies remains untouched by corruption schemes. As an example of that, Petrobras suffered with the corruption only because it is used by 100% from the state. Nowadays, the government regulates all the business affairs and the stock markets, and the economy is flowing and everything is perfectly well. So, in my opinion, any change needed to be done.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. Affirmative team, do you have any questions you would like to make?
So by saying that, you are affirming that all types of monopolies are bad to the population.
Repeat the question, please.
So based on your argument, you are saying that all types of monopolies are bad for the population.
Not all. I think that the ones that impossibilitate small investors take part in the investment process, in my opinion, is the one that difficult the development of the economy. Is that I don't think that other type of monopolies yeah, because everyone if small investors need to.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there. But I'm sure we can cover more of that in the rebuttals. Speaking of which, now we're going to go over to the rebuttal from the affirmative team for speaker 2. So, Eduardo, you have 2 minutes to present your rebuttal.
Thank you. The first thing that both of you said was that the free market doesn't prevent the population from monopolies. However, for a company to achieve the monopoly status, it needs to be a very good company approved by people, or else it may be a monopoly based on many companies uniting from night to day. However, we see that with the fourth industrial revolution, people are always making new things and equipment's getting faster to people, and everyone can produce everything, nearly everything, in their own houses. So the creation of monopoly wouldn't be so probable nowadays. You've also said that regulated market regulates corruption, and you've gave the example of Petrobras. However, Petrobras had only corruption because it was linked to the government, and once that's linked to the government, it was regulated, and the corruption was related to it. So your argument turns against you. And the other thing it was that the regulated market makes things more safe to people. However, you can't say that the regulation will make things more safe once only the person knows what's the best for its own. You can't say, oh, this thing is better for you. No, the person knows what's the best for it. I end up my argument.
Okay, thank you. So, do you guys have any questions about the first rebuttal?
Question? Yeah, but I am not the cross-examination by negative speaker, so but I ask.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
So if you have a question, you can ask one quickly now, Rafael. Yeah.
So, as you said about Petrobras, you said that once it was firstly regulated by the government, there was corruption only because it was totally owned by the government. You just said that it is no more corrupted because there was regulation. So that is actually in favor of our argument. And firstly, you say that the free market doesn't favor monopolies because monopolies only exist if people end up buying much of a company because it is a good company. But that is not the definition of monopolies, as monopolies can be defined if a company has the most stocks of an entire market and of the many other companies. So if one person has more than 51% of the stocks of all companies in a market, that can also be a monopoly. And that only happens if the economy and if the stock market is not regulated. So the company doesn't need to necessarily be a good company.
Okay, do you guys have any quick response to that? It has to be very quick though. Go.
A very quick response to one of your things, it was that I said Petrobras had the corruption because it was linked to the government, any percentage. It was linked, so it has possibilitated the corruption. Thank you, I end my speech.
Can I use the rest of the time to...
Okay, go first.
Okay, and about what you were saying about monopolies. This happens in the state that we are living now, but in a truly free market community, we won't have these kind of problems, because as it is a free market, people are able to choose what they are going to buy. And with the fourth revolution that we said before, people are able to start new things. So in a truly free market state, it would cost a lot for a company to stay in a monopoly state. So, like, actually, it might happen to appear a monopoly, but it won't be a bad monopoly because it will only happen if people really likes the company and want it to be kept as a monopoly, saying that in a truly free market state.
Okay. Okay, Cabral, I'll have to stop you there. And now we'll go to the rebuttal by the negative.
Okay, so 1 second, please. So, according to the first party that proposed the creation of regulations in the market, these were only created to stop corruption. So, as said literally by the Progressive Party, in order that consumers and producers, managers and workmen, now and hereafter, need not to pay toll to private monopolies of power and raw material. So, even though they have the power to choose, if everything is owned by one single company, they cannot, even if they choose to buy from another company, they will probably not buy because the other company is like 100% better. It is still a monopoly if that company owns everything, even though if that other person decides to buy from another company. And also, these regulations in the stock market, they don't make it difficult for new things to be made. They don't impossibilitate the development of new technologies, as they make it able for small investors and big investors to work, not only investors, but business affairs. These companies, they can communicate with each other. They can develop everything because they feel it is a safe environment. Not because they have the opportunity to choose what is best for them, but because they can choose what is safe. And they don't know if it is best for them. They know if it is best for them, but it may not mean that it is the safest option. Like, I can think that the best for me is eating candy, but it will not necessarily be the best or the safest, as I might have diabetes or I might have eaten too much candy already. So these regulations in the stock market, they don't make it difficult, not impossibilate small investors to make part. They just make it so that it is safe for these small investments to be competing with the big investors too. And also, the governments can't use these schemes to corrupt, as the government and these regulations don't have a...
Okay, that's time, unfortunately. So I have to go over to the affirmative again. Do you have any cross-examination for these guys?
I think you have spoken a little bit fast. I didn't understand much of what you're saying. And the situation about candies you've spoken, it can be about smoking, anything like drinking. And even if you really think that you can choose the best for people, the studies, the analysis will always be published and will be shown for people. So they will always be like informed and know the benefits and benefits what they're doing. And and we think that they have like the power to do what they wish when it relates to themselves. I end my speech.
Okay. Okay, quickly.
I just want to state that we are not saying that won't have monopolies. It might happen, but if there is a monopoly, it will be a very good company. Otherwise, it won't exist.
Okay, thank you. Right, so we're going to have to leave everything for the conclusions now. So do you have any riposte to that, or can it wait for the conclusion? Will it be very quick? I'll give you 30 seconds, okay? Let's go.
Okay. So you have said that people might choose what they want or the company is a good one. But as it is a free market, it literally means that the companies can do what they want. So the consumers don't have any chance, even though they choose what is good for them.
Okay, thank you. Right, now we're going to have to move on. Ah, sorry, I thought you'd finished. No?
Yes.
You have more?
No. Just
Oh, okay, so we can move on to the conclusions. Okay, so first of all, we're going to go to the negative speaker for the conclusion. So that's Gabriel, right?
No, I'm the second negative speaker.
Apologies. Okay, Zimmer. So conclusions.
Okay, as said before, we have shown that the regulation of the stock market and business affair, it is totally necessary, as it is what helps the economy to keep stable and not stop developing, but develop even more. So these vicious relationships between companies are regulated, which means safety in the market. And the illegal activities that exist have less chance of actually succeeding. And also, there will not be any monopolies, as small investors are incentivized to take part, which means more competition. And if there is more competition, monopolies can't exist, and it leads to a more constant development. And also, the government can like have corruption, as these business affairs are like private mostly and don't provide any gains, any economical gains to the government, which doesn't motivate for any type of corruption. Isn't it? Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you, Raphael. Okay, now we have to move on to the conclusion from the affirmative team.
I just would like to start my speech saying that there was a misunderstanding of the concept of free market, once it is a free market for the consumers and the sellers, not for only the companies and those people. I would like to conclude my speech and the debate saying that we think that the free market is a very better option than a regulated market, once it gives the option power to the person to choose what's best for him or her. It is also the best option once it would not, like, the competition would always be on the top of all things. So if a thing is good, if an innovation is good, it would be on society for the time for the time people want it. And we will always work based on demand and supply orders as the people want, always giving the power to the consumer and to population.
Okay, I'll have to stop you there. Okay, thank you, Eduardo. Okay, so that was a very difficult topic, and it could have gone either way, but I could see that both of the teams had done a lot of research, and I like the fact that both of you started your three arguments with you both had good premises, which led to good conclusions. So on that basis, I'm going to have to call this one a tie. So congratulations to you both. You both did very, very good research, and it showed because I even had to allow you to go slightly over time as well. So congratulations, both of you.